Ever been stuck trying to work on just your laptop screen and thinking, man, I really wish I had a bigger display right now?
Oh, all the time. Or maybe you're gaming, trying to relax, but that small screen just isn't, cutting it.
Exactly. Feeling limited by that laptop display, wanting something more immersive maybe away from your main desk setup.
Yeah, we've all wished for more screen real estate on the move. It can be a real pain point.
Well, you are definitely in the right place today. We're doing a deep dive into something that might just be the answer.
Hmm.
The UPERFECT 24.5-inch portable monitor.
Hmm. It's been put through a pretty thorough review, and we've gone through that to pull out all the key stuff for you.
So our mission today is pretty simple. Extract the crucial insights from that review.
Yep, cut through the specs and jargon, and really help you figure out if this portable monitor could be like the right fit for your needs, helping you get that bigger picture without being stuck at a desk.
Okay, let's get into it then. First impressions. The design and build, it sounds, well, surprisingly solid.
Yeah, not flimsy at all, apparently. The review mentioned an elegant yet understated look and specifically called out the durable matte black aluminum frame.
That's good to hear for something portable. You want it to feel like it can handle being moved around a bit, right?
Exactly. That robust feel is a big plus. It suggests you can, toss it in a bag without being overly worried.
And it's a 24.5-inch screen, which is pretty substantial, but still under a kilogram. That sounds like a good balance.
It really does seem to hit a nice sweet spot. You're getting desktop-like screen space, but it's genuinely portable. That sub 1 kilogram weight is pretty key if you plan to carry it often.
Right. Now, a portable monitor lives or dies by its stand, doesn't it? How does this one hold up? Literally.
Well, the detachable magnetic kickstand got some serious praise in the review. Sturdy metal construction, apparently.
Oh, magnetic. Nice.
Yeah, and a really wide range of angle adjustments, like 0 degrees, totally flat, all the way up to 90 degrees.
Wow, okay. So pretty versatile then, like next to a laptop or maybe angled for couch gaming.
Exactly that. It makes it adaptable for different setups, companion display, secondary screen, even just propped up somewhere convenient.
And you mentioned magnetic attachment. Sounds easy. Plus, there's an option for a more permanent setup, too.
Yep, it's got standard 75 by 75 millimeter VESA mount holes on the back.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted to ditch the kickstand sometimes and maybe put it on a monitor arm on a small desk, you absolutely could. Adds flexibility.
Okay, that's useful. Now, the review did flag one potential little niggle with the cover. It protects the screen, but maybe isn't the best stand itself.
That seems to be the trade-off.
Yeah.
The magnetic cover is great for protection during travel, but yeah, using it folded into that triangle shape, the reviewer called it a tad flimsy.
Right, might slip on smooth surfaces.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But they also felt the overall solid build of the monitor panel itself kind of outweighed that minor issue with the cover stand.
Okay, so build quality sounds impressive overall, but let's talk about the main event, the display itself. What are we looking at?
So it's a 2K resolution that's 2560 by 440 pixels on an IPS panel.
IPS, okay. Good viewing angles, usually good colors.
Exactly. And that 2K resolution means things look really sharp. The reviewer mentioned text, and details were comparable to a decent desktop monitor.
That sharpness is crucial, especially for work, right? Avoid that eye strain from fuzzy text on smaller, lower-res portables.
Absolutely. And that pixel density at 24.5 inches makes a real difference for productivity tasks.
And colors. UPERFECT claims 100% RGB. How did it look in practice?
Well, the reviewer didn't have, professional calibration tools handy, but their subjective experience was really positive.
Okay.
They saw, quote, rich reds, deep blues, and lush greens. Skin tones look natural, color gradients were smooth. It suggests a pretty decent quality panel.
That sounds promising. And using it out and about, glare can be a killer. How's the screen finish?
Thankfully, it's got a matte anti-glare coating. The review highlighted this as being quite effective.
Oh, good. That's almost essential for a portable display, isn't it? Using it near windows or, heaven forbid, outside sometime.
Totally crucial. It makes it usable in lots of different lighting conditions, which is kind of the point of portability.
Now, HDR, that buzzword. It supports HDR10 content. Does it actually make a big difference here?
So it does support HDR10, and the reviewer did see, increased contrast and a bit more vibrancy in compatible stuff.
Okay, so it's noticeable.
It's noticeable, yeah. Think richer visuals, maybe a bit more pop in bright areas, more detail in shadows. But we need to manage expectations.
Oh, so?
The peak brightness is rated around 350 nits, or CDMY. That enhances the picture, for sure, but it's not going to give you those super dazzling, bright highlights you'd see on a high-end TV or desktop HDR monitor.
Gotcha. So it's like HDR light, an enhancement rather than the full blinding experience.
That's a good way to put it. A nice visual boost,
Hmm.
but probably not the main reason you'd buy this specific monitor if you're a massive HDR fanatic.
Right? Okay. Makes sense. Let's shift gears then to something that will get some people excited. Gaming. 165 hertz refresh rate on a portable.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, especially for gamers on the move. 165 hertz means the screen updates 165 times a second.
Which translates to...
Much, much smoother motion compared to your standard 60 or even 75 hertz panels. Fast-paced games just feel more fluid, more responsive.
That difference can be huge, especially in competitive games.
Absolutely. The reviewer called it a breath of fresh air. That smoothness isn't just looks. It can genuinely impact reaction times.
And it's not just high refresh rate, there's also tech to stop screen tearing.
Exactly. It includes AMD FreeSync support. So if you have a compatible AMD graphics card in your laptop, it syncs the monitor's refresh rate to the frame rate your GPU is putting out.
Eliminating this horrible horizontal tears you sometimes see.
Precisely. It makes for a much cleaner, stutter-free experience. Really smooths things out.
And input lag, crucial for gaming. Any noticeable delay?
Apparently not. The reviewer felt it was very responsive, saying they never felt disadvantaged in competitive play, which is impressive.
Even over USB-C, sometimes that adds a tiny bit of latency.
Yeah, even when using a single USB-C for both power and video, it felt responsive. Though, they did suggest that for the absolute lowest latency, like for pro-level competitive play using DisplayPort or HDMI, might shave off an extra millisecond or two.
Okay, fair enough. Now, running a bright, high refresh rate screen off your laptop, that's got to hit the battery life, right? Especially with USB-C power delivery.
Yes, the practical consideration. It definitely does.
Oh.
The review noted about a 15% per hour battery drain on a mid-range laptop with a 60 watt battery.
15% an hour. Okay, that's significant if you're away from a plug.
It is. That was running at the full 165 hertz in high brightness, though. So something to be aware of for long unplugged sessions.
But you can manage it, presumably.
Yeah, the good news is you can dial it back. Lowering the refresh rate maybe down to 120 or 60 hertz, or just dimming the brightness, those are effective ways to extend your laptop's battery life when needed.
Good to know there are options. Okay, let's talk connectivity. How do you actually plug things into this monitor?
It's got a surprisingly good selection for a portable. You get a full-size HDMI 2.0 port.
Full size, nice. No dongles needed there.
Right. Then a USB-C port that supports DisplayPort alt mode, so video over USB-C, and can also handle up to 65 watts of power delivery back to a compatible laptop.
Oh, so single cable for video and potentially power.
Potentially, yeah, if your laptop supports it and doesn't need more than 65W. There's also a mini DisplayPort and a standard 3.5mm headphone jack.
Mini BP, interesting. So quite a few options. And you mentioned dual USB-C. What's the other one for?
So one handles the video input and power delivery. The other USB-C port can apparently act as a sort of data pass-through.
Like a mini hub.
Kind of. With an optional cable, you could plug in, say, a USB-A device, like a mouse or keyboard, into it. It's not a full docking station, but it adds a bit of convenience for maybe a cleaner mobile setup.
Could be useful. And how well does it actually play with different devices? Was it plug and play?
Seemed pretty seamless, according to the review. They tested it with a PlayStation 5 over HDMI and a MacBook Pro using USB-C. In both cases, it was instantly recognized, outputting the correct 2K resolution and refresh rate without any fuss.
That's what you want, isn't it? Just plug it in and have it work.
Definitely. Less hassle when you're setting up at different places.
What about controlling the monitor's settings? Sometimes the menus on these things are fiddly.
They went with a little joystick control on the back for the on-screen display, the OSD.
Oh, joystick. Better than fiddly buttons, maybe.
Usually, yeah. The reviewer found it pretty intuitive for navigating things like brightness, input selection, volume.
Any downsides to the OSD?
Just one minor thing mentioned. Finding the toggle for HDR was apparently a bit buried in the submenus. Not a huge deal, but something to note. Overall, sounded user-friendly.
Okay. How about sound? Does it have built-in speakers, and are they any good?
It does have built-in speakers, yes, but don't expect miracles.
The typical portable monitor speaker experience.
Pretty much.
Yep.
The review described them as serviceable.
Okay.
For maybe watching a quick YouTube video privately or a video call in a quiet room.
But not for movies or gaming.
Probably not immersive, no.
Yeah.
They apparently lack bass and can sound a bit tinny if you push the volume. So headphones or some external speakers would be highly recommended for anything serious.
Yeah, that's usually the case, isn't it? Now, I saw a mention of something unusual, a stylus pen holder.
Yeah, kind of a neat little extra. It's a detachable metal holder on the edge.
Who's that for?
Seems like a thoughtful touch for creative professionals, maybe. Someone using it alongside a drawing tablet or with a stylus-enabled laptop gives you a place to pop your pen.
Huh, okay. A specific niche, but a nice little bonus. And the OSD joystick, it does more than just inputs and volume. You can tweak the picture.
Oh, yeah. You can adjust brightness, contrast, color, temperature. There are presets like warm, cool, user, etc.
Standard stuff?
Right. And it also has specific picture modes like game and movie.
Do they actually improve things?
Well, the reviewer tried them, but actually preferred the standard mode, felt it was the most accurate out of the box. So the options are there if you like to tweak, but the default might be best for accuracy.
Good to know. Stick with standard unless you have a reason not to. Okay, let's circle back to portability. We said it's light, under 1 kilogram, but 24.5 inches is still biggish to carry.
It definitely requires commitment, yeah. It's not slipping into a tiny sleeve. You'll need a decent-sized backpack or bag.
But manageable.
The reviewer emphasized the lightweight design makes it surprisingly manageable for the size. But they did recommend getting a separate padded sleeve.
Ah, the included magnetic cover isn't quite protective enough for transport.
It protects the screen from scratches, yeah, but probably not bumps and knocks inside a bag. So a proper sleeve is probably a wise investment if you're carrying it frequently alongside a laptop and other gear.
Makes sense. And setting it up when you get where you're going sounds easy.
Very straightforward, apparently. Attach the magnetic kickstand, plug in your power and video cable, select the input on the monitor. Quick and simple.
Good. No complex assembly needed each time.
Exactly. It seemed to calibrate quickly to power and display settings, too.
But you mentioned a potential wobble with the kickstand.
Yes, that's a practical point. On a nice flat desk, it's likely fine. But the review noted that on uneven surfaces, it could get a bit unsteady, especially at certain tilt angles.
So maybe not ideal for balancing on, like, a lumpy sofa cushion.
Probably best to find a reasonably flat, stable surface for it, yeah. Just something to be aware of depending on where you plan to use it.
Right. Okay, we've covered a lot here. Build, display, gaming, connectivity, portability. What's the final verdict? What's the big picture takeaway on this UPERFECT monitor?
The overall impression from the review is honestly pretty darn impressive. It really seems to bridge that gap between desktop features and portability.
How so?
You're getting that high 2K resolution, that fast 165 Hz refresh rate things you usually only find on desk monitors, but in a package you can actually carry around.
So who does it really appeal to?
Seems like a great fit for a few groups. Gamers, obviously, wanting that smooth 165 Hz and FreeSync on the go. Productivity users who need sharp text and more screen space than their laptop offers. And maybe even like amateur photo editors or creatives, given the decent sRGB coverage and map screen.
But maybe not for hardcore HDR fans, as we discussed.
Right, and there are those minor caveats, the slightly flimsy cover stand, the basic audio, and that battery drain at max settings.
So excellent build quality overall, just maybe not the cover when used as a stand. Audio is functional, battery impact is noticeable.
Yeah, those are the main trade-offs, it seems.
So that final recommendation, who should seriously consider this?
The review strongly suggests it's ideal for anyone who frequently works or plays games in different places, maybe moving between home and office, or traveling a lot, and really wants a larger, faster display than their laptop provides.
Not necessarily a replacement for a high-end primary desktop monitor, then.
Probably not for everyone's main setup, no. But as a portable display, it seems like an excellent blend of performance, features, portability, and likely price point, though we didn't dive deep into cost.
Okay. So the core value proposition is getting that high-quality display, those smooth gaming features, in a genuinely portable form factor, accepting a couple of minor compromises.
Exactly. It nails that balance between capability and convenience for a lot of potential mobile use cases.
That's a really helpful summary. So for you listening, here's something to think about. How could a portable monitor like this actually change your workflow or your gaming habits? Or maybe your creative process?
Yeah, having that extra screen real estate, that higher refresh rate, fundamentally alter how you use your tech when you're not at your main desk. What's the one key thing you'd use it for?
Definitely food for thought as you consider your current setup and where it might be falling short.